Good evening. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. It's the 14th of February. It's 2023. I'm Lisa.
I'm Jamie. Hello. That was over.
Excited.
Yeah, excitable. I'm so pleased with
He sounds very
Valentine's
excited
Day.
that it's Valentine's Day.
Yeah, happy Valentine's, everybody.
Yeah, I hope you're all having a lovely day. I don't really celebrate Valentine's Day because I think it's commercialized bullshit.
Yeah, we call things like that a Hallmark Day here in the U.S. because it's all the cards, the greeting cards, the candy, things like that.
I don't need a specific day set aside to tell Jamie that I love him because he knows that I love him and his little bald head every day.
Actually, you talk about them cards; they're really expensive now, aren't they?
They are.
I used to make mine and things like that, but yeah.
And while the intro music was on, I was busy reading the chat, and Kelly has got a sheep that is going to have babies, and I demand that she calls them Cupid and Valentine and all lovey-dovey names because they're getting born on Valentine.
Oh, at least call
Valentine's Day baby sheep, everybody.
But can't she at least call one of them Lamb Chops or something?
No, because it's fun. Cupid and Venus.
Mint sauce.
Something to do with Valentine's Day for sure.
Yeah. Chocolate cake. Call one of them cake.
Cake 1 and cake 2.
Mm-hmm. In honor of Lisa, you have to have cake.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's. I had a cake today for Valentine's Day because, but I would have a cake any day, every day. That's why I've got all these chins, everybody. But cake.
Stop.
MC Lammer.
MC Lammer.
Yeah, you can call it MC Hammer.
Mutton chops.
Don't touch this. Right,
mutton chops. That's so cute, Kelly.
MC Lammer.
Wow. Hopefully everybody has a nice Valentine's Day if you do celebrate it.
How many baby sheep does a sheep tend to have?
Oh, yeah, I don't.
Does it have one sheep or does it have multiple? What's the average?
I think they just have one, but Kelly?
Well, cats have about 40. I don't know. How many sheep are in there, Kelly? Let me know.
How many sheep are in there?
Let me know. And do they come out with wool on or are they bald? That's what I want to know.
I think they come out with some hair.
Curious. I'm curious. That's Curious Casefile. Are sheep born bald?
Yeah.
And one monster her first. I'm hoping twins.
Oh. Do you keep the sheep, Kelly, or do you sell them, or
may not want to know the answer. Lisa may not want to know the
answer. Don't tell me. Yeah. So for this episode, we're going to be looking at crimes that are centered around love. Maybe not specifically Valentine's Day, but we've called the episode "Loved to Death" because obviously people are going to get murdered. I'm very sorry.
Oh, hello, Expialidocious.
Hello, Expialidocious. And hello to Jeanette and Bob who are watching as well.
Indeed.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. Yeah. Remembering, I know it's hard, when coming on once a week instead of, daily or, a couple times a week, it's hard for people to remember. But we're so happy that you guys are joining us each week.
See you next Tuesday. That's how you're going to remember.
See you next Tuesday, exactly.
Jeanette just wrote hand pink.
I think she was meant to use
I think that's an emoji.
But it may not work on what device, maybe.
Oh, okay.
Got a little pink wavy hand.
We'll all imagine it. Yeah, we'll do it for you. Hello.
Yeah, so shall we dive into these crimes?
Yeah, so what do we have for Valentine's Day?
We've got a story each. I'm going to tell mine first. We've all looked up and researched a little Valentine's Day murder story for you. Because why not?
Yeah.
And first up, Love to Death.
See what she did there.
I've called this case a shot in the dark.
Oh, aren't you clever?
I wonder what's going to happen.
It's kind of gave it away a little bit.
Yeah. Do tell.
Right, this is about Danielle had never heard of this, which surprised the crap out of me because I thought everybody knew about this case. Oscar Pistorius and the murder of Riva Steenkamp. And I'm going to tell you all about them for those that don't know. And those that do know, you might learn some other things because it's weird.
Well, I'm going to learn today, so enlighten me.
So, who is Oscar Pistorius, everybody? This is him, but let me tell you a little bit about him. Oscar Leonard Pistorius was born on the 22nd of November 1986 in Santon, Johannesburg.
Oh.
And I just heard myself echo back, and it was so weird. Oscar was born with a condition called fibular hemimelia. I think that's how you say it, and I don't really care either, really. But basically, it's a congenital absence of a fibia in both his legs.
Mm-hmm.
He is a bit of a Grinch, Kelly, yeah. This resulted in both of his legs being amputated halfway between his knees and his ankles at the age of just 11 months old.
Oh my gosh.
Don't feel too sorry for him, though, because he's not the good guy in this case. Yeah. So despite this, he managed to live a somewhat normal life and participated in various sports throughout his childhood, including things like rugby, wrestling, and boxing. However, after a knee injury playing rugby in 2003, he took up running, which might sound weird for somebody that didn't have any legs. But he took up running.
Do you think he actually took up running to prove that that he could do it with the legs and things like that? To prove a point? I guess so. Because if not, the first thing you'd think of is like, I've got leg issues, I'm going to go running. But
he's got more of a leg issue, but more than a leg issue.
And here he is. So he took up running, and he soon became a part of the Paralympic running team. It's here that he earned the moniker Blade Runner, because obviously he's running on these special prosthetic legs that were made for him to be part of the Paralympic team. So now we're going to get on to who Riva Steenkamp is, because this is very important to the case before I tell you what happened. So here she is, beautiful, beautiful lady. Riva Rebecca Steenkamp was born in Cape Town on August the 19th, 1983, to her parents Barry Steenkamp, a horse trainer, and his second wife, June. The family moved to Port Elizabeth not long after her birth, and it was here that she attended school and then university, where she graduated with a Bachelor of Law degree in 2005. Law, however, was not her only passion. She began modelling at the age of 14 and was very, very successful. She had been a presenter on many TV fashion shows in South Africa and starred in many commercials for a variety of products. She was ranked 40th and 45th consecutively in FHM's Top 100 Sexiest Women in the World in 2011 and 2012, respectively.
Okay.
She was also a keen horse rider in her youth, but after a tragic accident in her early 20s where she broke her back and had to learn to walk again, she had to give up on that passion. Now we get to the part that's going to get to the case for today. In November 2012, Riva began dating Oscar Pistorius. That was just 3 months before the events of what happened in today's case unfolded on the following Valentine's Day. And it was very bizarre and very tragic. So, what happened? Let me tell you. On the evening of Wednesday, the 13th of February, Oscar Pistorius and Riva Steenkamp went to bed at about 10 p.m. The next day, obviously, was Valentine's Day, and it was the first in their short relationship, which had obviously blossomed the previous November. As she drifted off to slumber that fateful night, Riva was probably excited about spending her first Valentine's Day with her new love. But sadly, as the sun rose the next morning, only one of these two star-crossed lovers would be alive. The other would be lying dead on the bathroom floor, shot to death in the early hours of the morning by the other. There was much controversy surrounding Oscar's version of the events that unfolded that evening. The following I'm going to tell you is based on his statements to law enforcement, so bear in mind this is what he says happened, and it's a bit bullshitty. Spoiler alert, bullshit.
I think that's going to be kind of like a ongoing theme this episode.
So, spoiler alert, his version of events might not be true.
No.
So before heading off to sleep, in his account, he apparently had arranged 2 fans in the doorway to the balcony because the air conditioning wasn't working. He usually slept slept. He usually slept or slept on the right-hand side of the bed. However, he claimed that due to a shoulder injury, he had slept on the left-hand side of the bed that night.
Convenient.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, Oscar. However, his iPad and his prosthetic legs were on the right-hand side of the bed. How did he get over there, Oscar Pistorius? And Steamcamp's bag and sandals were on the left-hand side, so he's a liar, basically. The side that he claims he was sleeping on has got her bag and her sandals, and his legs are over their side of the bed, but yeah, whatever. He took his legs off over their side and then crawled round.
Probably shouldn't laugh, but that just sounds...
Yeah, stupid.
Yeah.
Stupid, Oscar. It doesn't even make sense.
No.
Anyway, apparently, he woke up during the early hours of Valentine's Day because the room was hot and humid. Steamcamp was also awake and apparently said to him, "You can't sleep, Baba." So he claimed he got up without his legs and moved the fans from the balcony doorway to inside the room. He then pulled the curtains tight to block the slim bit of light through the curtains. It's very convenient, all this. And moved Steamcamp's jeans from the floor and was going to use them to cover a small LED light on an amplifier. Very convenient. That he's covered up all the light in the room, basically. This is his alibi. He got up, shut the curtains, put it, whatever.
He seemed to be covering up a lot of issues here straight away, don't he? Like,
Yeah.
Straight away, yeah. I got up and I just shut the curtains, put her jeans over a little tiny LED light, so it was completely pitch black, and I was wandering around with no legs on. Okay. Anywho, before covering the light, he says he heard the noise of a window opening in the bathroom. Yeah. He said he believed the noise was from an intruder who was in his house, possibly via a ladder to a window. And what a random thing to say. Yeah, I thought somebody had just brought a ladder along and broke into my house.
Yeah, that's the first thing that popped into his head, right?
Whatever. So, still on his stumps, because he's not got his legs on, everybody. He's not got his legs on. Pistorius retrieved the gun from beneath the left side of the bed. He whispered to Steamcamp to call the police and moved into the hallway leading to the bathroom, the gun pointed in front of him. Now, she's not answered, but whatever.
No.
Okay, so she didn't respond. She just, according to him.
According to him.
Okay.
She doesn't say a word for the rest of this entire story. Right. So, moving down the hallway, he leaned against the wall for better stability on his stumps. His eyes kept moving between the bathroom door and a nearby window. He yelled for the person to get out of his house and yelled again at Steamcamp to call the police. And still she said nothing, not a word. Not a word come out of her mouth. You'd think she'd be like, "What are you going on about, love?" But no, not a word.
I know when one of us had heard a noise and the other one said, we both get up immediately like, "What the hell's going on?"
Yeah, everybody wants to know what's going on, right? Or don't leave me here.
He's not finding it suspicious that she's not answered now or nothing.
Yeah.
Anywho, he says he felt vulnerable on his stumps and feared someone was about to come out of the bathroom when he heard the sound of, this is his words, wood moving, and thought that the door was opening.
Did you say wood? Wood moving?
He heard the sound of wood moving.
What? Does that mean like
that common everyday sound of wood moving? He was overcome with fear, and therefore he fired 4 shots in quick succession through the bathroom door.
He shouldn't have done that.
And
But that might have been Pinocchio coming through if he heard wood.
Poor Reva, throughout all that, he's talking to her saying call the police. She's not said a word. Not a word.
And the gun's going off and she's still not hearing it and waking it up.
Amazing.
Something a bit wrong there somewhere.
Right, so where is Reva? Where's Reva, everybody? She's not answered them. She's not phoning the police. Right, apparently his ears were ringing from the gunshot, so he was unable to hear anything. But he was able to hear things prior to firing the guns, and he heard nothing. Nothing. Right. Not a thing. Right, so then allegedly he retreated back down the hallway to the bed, still aiming the gun at the bathroom. He hopped on the bed in the dark, on his stumps. He just hopped.
Oh, this is so wrong. This is so wrong.
It's bad.
He felt for Steam Camp and he didn't find her. He thought maybe she was hiding on the floor.
Did he look under the bed? No.
Right. He thought maybe she was hiding on the floor or behind the curtains.
Yeah.
Because that's what you do. So he checked the floor and ran his hand along the curtains.
Yeah.
That's when he first suspected that Steam Camp may have been in the bathroom, and that's when everything changed.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Again, I'm going to apologise for laughing and making a food joke, but he isn't like somebody.
He's an arsehole. He's an arsehole. This is his story, by the way, right? So he then, this is where it gets to describe. I mean, this you'll find out. I'm not going to give it away.
Yeah.
All right.
He went back to the bathroom door, still holding the gun, and tried the doorknob. The door was locked. So the door's locked from the
in there and it was locked.
So why would first of all, think why would she get up in the middle of the night? They're only two. Why would she lock herself in the bathroom?
Yeah.
Anyway, right. He went back to the bedroom, put on his legs finally. So he's put his legs on. Opened the curtains to the balcony while screaming for God to help him.
Letting the light in, huh?
With his legs on, he slammed into the bathroom door with his body. He got a cricket bat and smashed a hole in the door so that he could reach in and pick up a key from the floor and let himself in. So this is like trying to find an explanation for why he's took a cricket bat to the door.
They got a key.
A big hole in the bathroom door now. And how did he know the key was on the floor? Because it's stupid.
Well, he saw that. No, he saw that before he put his legs on.
I mean, stupid, at that point, why? There was a hole in the door. What did he need the key for?
He's stupid.
I know, it's just bizarre. It's just getting. It's
I
like a joke.
I don't think he thought this through very well. But go on.
Right. So, Pistorius found Steam Camp crumpled on the floor with her head on the toilet. He then apparently sat over her and cried.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure he did. He ran to the left side of his bed to retrieve his phone and went back to Steam Camp. He then made 3 consecutive short phone calls. Now, he's found her shot dead on the floor, basically. Ran to get his phone now that he's got his legs on. Went back to her. Who did he phone first, everybody?
I have no idea.
Who did you phone? Who did you phone first?
You would have thought
nay, Danielle. He found his neighbour first.
Yeah.
His neighbour.
Yeah. Well, that's good to
Was
call
his
him.
neighbour?
At 3:19, at 3:20, he found an ambulance, and at 3:21, he called the security at his estate.
Mm-hmm.
So he didn't phone an ambulance first.
No, you wouldn't have thought they'd needed to call his neighbour with all the gunshots and the
probably
banging about and the wood noises.
Yeah.
You'd have thought that.
Wood noises. That's.
So he then picked her up and took her downstairs to the front door. So he's like completely contaminated the crime scene and moved her body.
Mm-hmm.
Because
we've heard that before.
Probably didn't want them to see that he'd bashed in the door with a cricket bat.
Yeah.
Anyway, when her neighbour arrived, Pistorius had his fingers in her mouth to keep her ill.
Wait, who had their fingers in her mouth?
Oscar Pistorius
I have not heard
had his fingers in her mouth to keep her airway open and a hand on her hip to staunch the bleeding.
He's just making up crap as he goes along, isn't he?
No, that's what really happened. That's what the neighbour saw.
Oh, sorry, that's what happened. Yeah.
When the police and paramedics arrived, Pistorius is asked to stay in the kitchen. A paramedic then informed him that she was dead. He asked the police if he can wash his bloody hands because the smell was apparently making him feel ill.
Do you mean actually bloody hands or just like my bloody hands are dirty? I don't know.
My bloody.
Yeah.
Play on words there.
About 2 hours later, he asked the police to take whatever photos of him were needed so he could take off his blood-soaked clothing. And here, this is an image taken from Corpio TV showing him standing his blood-stained prosthetic legs, and his shorts are covered in blood, and that was shown to the court at his trial, which we'll get to. We'll get to that, and that's the court, by the way. I put that first, but that's the previous slide. But anyway, just for later, that's what the court looks like.
It's like a castle.
Right, now we're going to get into the very confusing, convoluted bit, and it's there's a lot of dates here, but it's going to piss everybody off. It pisses me off, right? Right, we're going to start in 2014. His murder trial began on the 3rd of March 2014 in the Pretoria High Court. On the 20th of May, the trial proceedings were adjourned until the 30th of June to enable him to undergo psychiatric evaluation to determine whether he could be held criminally responsible for shooting her, basically. Judge, and I'm going to completely butcher this, Judge Fokozio Masipa.
Did you actually realise how hilarious this is going to be or not? Really?
Judge, you should have put that on the screen.
Yeah, Judge Fokozio Masipa. I don't even know how to say it. I'm going to type it on the screen for you. Wait a minute, because you can figure it out for you. I don't even know. Wait a minute. Let me put a banner up, everybody. Oh, that's the wrong one. I've not even wrote it yet. Right. Fokozio. And I'll put this on the screen, and I'm probably going to say his name again. I'm not doing it.
Oh, fuck it. Don't bother.
Yeah, fuck it.
You can read it, interpret it the way we see it ourselves, right?
Hey, Judge him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Agreed to request the evaluation by prosecutor Jerry Nell. I can say his name.
Okay.
After forensic, they've got really weird names in South Africa. I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. Forensic psychiatrist Meryl Vorster testified for the defense that she had diagnosed Pistorius with generalized anxiety disorder.
Wait a minute, we've got a comment I got to put up.
Okay, well, I hate that.
Yeah, he's going to say the neighbour put him up to
he's
it.
not got a leg to stand on. No, he's not.
His neighbour put him up to it. Yeah.
Boom. Right, let me take that fucker seal off the screen because it's getting on my nerve. It's getting on my last nerve. So when I've got to say it again, that's what it. I don't know what it says. I don't care what it says.
You can remember it or forget.
Right. So apparently, generalized anxiety disorder makes him not criminally responsible in his defence's eyes. But yeah. So on the 30th of June 2014, the trial resumed after the evaluation report said that he could be held criminally responsible. I should think so and all. Yeah. The state prosecutor was...
You sound like a mother scolding their child then. I should think so and all.
Well, really.
The state prosecutor was quoted as saying, Mr. Pistorius did not suffer from a mental illness or defect that would have rendered him not criminally responsible for the offence charged.
That's right.
Right.
The defence... Well... You're still going to get annoyed. The defence closed its case on the 8th of July and closing arguments were heard on the 7th and 8th of August. A lot of dates here. Mm-hmm. On the 12th of September, Pistorius was found guilty of culpable homicide, which is basically the equivalent of manslaughter. And this is where it gets interesting. Listen. And one firearm-related charge of reckless endangerment related to him discharging a firearm in a restaurant. So apparently he'd shot a firearm off in a restaurant. However, that's not all. He was found not guilty of 2 other firearm-related charges relating to possession of illegal ammunition and one of shooting a firearm through the sunroof of a car. So he's got a bit of a habit of just randomly shooting his gun off in random places.
Okay.
So on the 21st of October, he received a prison sentence of the maximum of 5 years for culpable homicide. And a concurrent 5 years, and a concurrent 3-year sentence for the separate reckless endangerment. So for shooting off a gun in a restaurant, which he killed nobody, he got 3 years. For killing somebody in cold blood, he got 5.
It's ridiculous, isn't it? But it happens.
But I'm not done. I'm not done. Yeah. Oh, no.
It's nice to know the justice system isn't only broken here.
Yeah.
There's more.
He's trigger happy, yes. Yeah. I think
there's more. Right, so in June 2015 now, he was recommended for early release.
Recommended by who?
I'm just about to tell you, Danielle.
Sorry.
Yeah. South African Commissioner of Connect. You put me off kilter.
Another name.
I've got another name coming, right? South African Commissioner of Correctional Services, Zach Modise, told the BBC of a decision by the Case Management Committee. Oh my God, here we go. You ready? At the Kagozi Mampuru II prison in Pretoria. I don't know if that's what it's actually called, but that's what I'm saying. Where Pistorius was being held. Under South African law, he is eligible for release under correctional supervision, having served a sixth of his sentence.
Mm-hmm.
So after Pistorius served approximately 1/6 of his very paltry prison term, his release date to house arrest was announced on the 21st of August 2015. This release was based on good behaviour and the fact that he was not considered a danger to the community, despite the fact that he's running around shooting his gun off everywhere.
Excuse me, but not running around.
Well, he wasn't running. He was hobbling around on his stump, shooting his gun off everywhere.
Was he allowed his prosthetics when he was in prison?
I don't even care anymore.
Yeah, because that could be.
I don't care anymore.
They could be looked as a deadly
As a weapon.
You could stab someone or escape, cut through the bars with his leg.
Right.
That's really interesting.
So he was expected to remain under house arrest and correctional supervision. And he was expected also to perform community service as part of his continuing sentence.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not finished yet. Regardless of his release from prison, he could not return to official athletic competition until the whole 5 years of his sentence had been completed.
Well, that's the
How about never? How about never?
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah.
Anyway, on the 19th of August 2015, his release was unexpectedly blocked by South Africa's Justice Minister, Michael Mashutha.
Hoorah! But, yeah.
I'm not finished yet.
Now I know.
According to Mashutha, I don't even know. I don't even care anymore.
Mashutha.
The parole board's decision for early release was premature. Do you think so? Do you really think so?
I think so. Yes.
Legal experts noted that the move could have been due to political pressure and had implications for other cases pending early release. However, he was still released from prison on the 19th of October 2015.
Oh.
We've heard that before.
But there's more. There's more. On the 4th of November 2014, prosecutors applied to the sentencing judge for permission to appeal the culpable homicide verdict, stating that the 5-year prison term was shockingly light, inappropriate, and would have not been imposed by any reasonable court. Do you really think so? Do you?
Very light.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. The judge, Thokozile Masipa, you know the one I put on the screen earlier.
Yeah.
Ruled on the 10th, Judge Thockoff, ruled on the 10th of December 2014 that the prosecution could challenge her ruling of acquitting Pistorius of premeditated murder. I can't even read. I just don't even care anymore. This case is shit.
Well, I care. Keep going.
That's really good, actually. I've never laughed about a murder in my life before like this.
I know,
or
right?
somebody's legs.
Or a handicapped person.
Yeah, so premeditated murder and convicting him of a lesser charge of culpable homicide. However, she ruled that the state could not appeal the length of the sentence.
Why?
Why?
The case was then set for an appeal in front of a 5-person panel at the Supreme Court of Appeal. The date for prosecutors to submit court papers outlining their arguments was set for the 17th of August 2015, and the date for the defence's team response was set for the 17th of September. The date for the appeal hearing was then put in November. So we're now in November 2015, and it's boring now. The prosecutor's argument rested on Judge, whatever his name is. Application of the legal principle of dolus eventualis. That means whether the accused did actually foresee the outcome of his actions rather than whether he or she should have. Now, you shot a gun through a door. I think you foresee that you're going to shoot somebody that's on the other side.
Willfully. With the intent.
So, and that the judge, this was like they were saying that the judge made an error in concluding that he had not foreseen that by firing 4 shots through the closed door of a toilet cubicle, he would kill or injure whoever was behind that door. Well done. About time somebody noticed that. Right. The appeal was heard on the 3rd of November at the Supreme Court of Appeal in Bloemfontein.
Right.
I don't know if that's how you say
You
that,
have
but
a way with
I was
words.
quite convincing.
That was convincing.
I was convincing. I have no idea if that's what it's
That
called.
sounds like some kind of cologne or something, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So,
Bloemfontein.
I need a drink. I need a drink.
Yeah. I use
coffee's not
Bloemfontein.
suitable, but it'll do.
You have a way with words there, Lisa. It must be the accent.
Right. The matter was heard before 5 Supreme Court judges, and by a unanimous decision, the court overturned Pistorius's culpable homicide conviction and found him guilty of murder.
Hoorah!
Don't get too
I'm gonna
excited.
do that every time.
Don't get too excited.
Don't get too excited again.
Yeah. So he's now guilty of murder, everybody.
Yeah.
Judge Eric Leach, who's got a normal name, thank you very much for putting him in charge now, because
Having a normal name.
Yeah.
read the summary judgment. The panel of 5 judges found for the prosecutor's argument that Pistorius must have known that someone would die if he fired through the closed door of a small toilet cubicle.
Mm-hmm.
You think?
Yeah.
In the words of Judge Leach, although he may have been anxious, it is inconceivable that a rational person could have believed that he was entitled to fire at this person with a heavy caliber firearm without taking even the most elementary precaution of firing a warning shot.
Yeah.
Which the accused said he elected not to fire as he thought the ricochet might harm him.
Oh dear.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
He really piled it on there.
Yeah.
I know, doesn't
So
it?
the controversy, as if that wasn't controversial enough, this is the controversy. So according to the judgment, the person who Pistorius thought was in the toilet cubicle had nothing to do with the results of his actions. So it doesn't matter who he thought was there, he knew somebody was there.
Somebody was there, yeah.
So the culpable homicide verdict was replaced with a murder conviction, and the case was referred back to the trial court for sentencing hearing when it reconvened in April 2016. However, in December, it was announced that he would continue to remain free on bail, but under house arrest, pending his appeal. So we get to March 2016, and he was denied his right to appeal and would next be due in court in June to begin a 5-day sentencing hearing for the murder conviction. And then this judge comes back now.
Fuckwit.
Fuckwit's back. So on June the 15th, 2016, the sentencing was adjourned by Judge Fuckwit. Until July.
Yeah.
So on July the 6th, Judge Thokazil Masipa sentenced Pistorius to 6 years for murder.
6 years?
Rather than 6 years for murder. Let me just say 6 years for murder.
Mm-hmm.
Rather than his original sentencing of 5 years for culpable homicide, which is manslaughter. Once again, he was incarcerated in the hospital wing of the Kigozi Mampuru II jail. It was anticipated that he would be eligible for release or parole after serving 3 years of this sentence, so in 2019. On the 7th of August 2016, he was treated at the Calafong Hospital in Pretoria after sustaining minor injuries to his wrists after slipping in his cell.
Oh.
What a shame.
Slipping in a cell, eh?
That's a shame.
Media reports that he'd done it intentionally were said to be completely untrue by his brother Carol, who said he was doing well given the circumstances. He's had a hard life. He got put in jail for murder. What a bloody shame. Anywho, we're nearly done. On the 21st of July 2016, the National Prosecuting Authority confirmed that it would appeal to Judge Thokazil against his shockingly lenient 6-year jail sentence. The appeal hearing took place in August 2016, and the bid to appeal the sentence was rejected. We said that the NPA had no reasonable prospect of success. So the appeal was rejected. So basically now, he's back in prison. He's been moved to a better prison. It's called... He was moved from the Kazuka Maparu jail to the Attervidge Correctional Centre, which is smaller and better adapted for disabled prisoners because it has bathtubs in the cells. That's what it said on the website. He's got a bathtub now.
And non-slip floor,
And
I
it
guess.
also... bizarrely, this actual prison that's adapted for disabled prisoners only takes on prisoners that are serving 6-year sentences or less, and he just so happened to just get 6 years.
6 years, yeah. So, is there any report of her family? Like,
oh yeah.
Unbelievable. We'll be back in a second.
So on the 19th of September, Jamie's had enough. He's gone. Yeah. On the 19th of September, it was confirmed that the SCA would hear the state's arguments to extend the sentence. It was not extended. So basically, he's now due for parole. It's 2023. His parole's up. And we're going to get to today. I've got a news article to show you.
okay.
Right, this is from today.
24-hour. What? He's given police protection? Am I reading that right?
I thought I'd let you read it yourself first, Danielle, before I got into it. Right, Oscar Pistorius will be given 24-hour police protection if freed on parole next month. So he's due for parole next month. After cops were told he faces threats to his life outside prison, having served half of his sentence for the murder of Reba Steenkamp.
Well, that's a shame. How rude that he would receive death threats.
Apparently, he's going to be the target of gangsters out for revenge. That's why he needs police protection. That's just like, what?
Unbelievable.
So gangsters are apparently going to avenge the slaying of Reva. So that's why he's scared and needs protection. And that's in the press today because he's due to get released next month, which is absolutely ridiculous. Disgusting. And apparently nobody's above the law, but if you're a very rich athlete, there you go.
You are above the law, apparently, because look at the sentence he got. And now he's going to be given police protection, 24-hour police protection.
Yeah. I think that this case, they were having an argument. This is what I think happened, because his story shit. They were having an argument. She locked herself in the bathroom to get away from him, and he kicked the door in and shot her.
Yeah, that makes sense.
He kicked the door in afterwards. He didn't take a cricket bat to it afterwards. And that's why he took her body downstairs so that the paramedics didn't see the door. I'm not going to finish talking about him now. I'm going to finish with this one. Remembering Reva, because that's what it's about. So this article was quite good, so I thought I'd share it with you. So everyone has a right to feel loved and safe. That was an Instagram post that she posted months before being murdered by Oscar Pistorius. Mm-hmm. Her life was cut short a decade ago on Valentine's Day after she was shot and killed by her boyfriend. But according to her mother, June, the 29-year-old model predicted her own death at just 14 years old.
There you go.
In the lead up to her death, the bubbly blonde also shared a series of haunting Instagram posts. And there's some of her posts. So she's put this picture up and wrote, "I woke up in a happy, safe home this morning. Not everyone did. Speak out against the rape of individuals in South Africa. Rest in peace, Anine Boussine." That must have been a crime that had just happened. And her whole social media presence was speaking out against violence, and that's what happened to her. Yeah. It was very sad. She was a beautiful young lady. She was very intelligent. She had a law degree. She would, a lot of people put her down like she was a dumb model. She wasn't. She was very intelligent. And she fought for other women while she was alive, and she ended up getting killed by a violent twat.
Yeah.
So
it does seem like she was fighting against. Again, she might have been fighting against. She did say that she woke up safe, but you don't know if it was.
Well, that was a few months before. She only met him.
It was at that time.
Well. She met him yet when she posted that, because she'd only been with him 3 months and he shot her.
I don't know. I all I know is that's probably the.
Now, I know we did have a little bit of a laugh during that, but at the end of the day, that's not funny. She lost her life to an entitled twat, basically.
Exactly, that's what I know.
He was an entitled twat, and he thinks he can get away with it. He still thinks he can get away with it, because he's not served any time. He's actually been out of prison during his sentence. So he didn't spend all that time in prison, and he got put back in again, but he's in a little lush... thing.
Exactly.
His own little bathtub and everything. Really?
Yeah.
Really?
That's why I think it's kind of okay to poke fun. I mean, again, I weren't expecting some of it, to be honest. So that's just an automatic reaction, because it just sounds so ludicrous, really.
And one picture that I didn't show you, that is her parents.
Her parents.
That obviously didn't think they got justice. He actually he went and saw him. He went and saw him recently to do with a victim statement thing. Like it's a charity that puts victims in charge with the person that's perpetrated a crime against them, so they could ask them questions.
Okay.
And he's still a cocky twat and didn't think he'd done anything wrong, and he was disgusted at him.
Well, we saw that the other week with the other one's brother, the other guy's brother, didn't we? He's still the same arrogant.
He's still got the arrogance. He still thinks that he done. Yeah, he's still sticking to his bullshit story.
That's the story of Pistorius.
That's the story of Oscar Pistorius and Riva Steenkamp, and apparently he's up for release next month, and they're expecting the South African public to pay for his 24-hour protection.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah, I wonder what the citizens think about that. Mm-hmm. If they really believe his story. I'm sure, just like anything, there's going to be people that believe his story to be true.
Oh yeah,
I'm sure there'll be more on this, and we'll probably find out if he gets released next month and see what's happening. We'll keep you updated.
Yeah.
It's so sad.
And
I'm sure my mum was supposed to say poor family, left the R and it says poo family.
Yeah.
Maybe, poor family, we know.
Yeah, and Kelly, I agree. In the end, everybody has to answer to God. So we might not see the justice here, but for eternity, he'll have a different story, so a different outcome.
Yeah. But his life ain't finished yet, because you don't know what he's going to do when he comes out, because these people do carry on and that.
And hello to Sue.
Hello, Sue.
Hello,
right,
Sue.
And I do believe that JB's going to take us back a century or so and tell us about... and Jamie's case is called Death by Chocolate.
Death by Chocolate. So I wonder where this is going.
Yeah.
Well,
how could that even be a thing?
Yeah, this obviously didn't, well, say obviously, but this didn't happen on Valentine's Day, but again, because of what the case... entails, and I thought it was quite appropriate and quite a good one for that.
Jamie picked it because chocolate.
Because chocolate, right? Anyway,
I'm insulted. Death by chocolate.
Indeed.
Oh.
No. Anyhow, right. So this is the case of Cordelia Brown, or Cordelia.
You forgot a name.
I forgot a name. Yeah.
Botkin.
Yeah, Botkin. That's because of the other name. The other name. Yeah. So this is Cordelia Botkin. Mm-hmm. Everybody.
Stunning.
Stunning. Apparently, as you'll find out soon. Anyway. Right. Cordelia Brown was born in Kansas City, Missouri, in 1854.
1854.
She married a man named Welcome Botkin. See, Welcome. That's a really strange name, and you'll notice.
Wait. It's called Welcome Botkin.
Yeah, Welcome Botkin.
So if he comes into your house, you're like, welcome
Botkins. Yeah.
Welcome.
And they had a son called Beverly.
What?
Yes.
Wait,
again.
The son?
The son is called Beverly.
The son is called Beverly.
Is that not a girl's name though?
It is a girl's name.
Do you get boys called Beverly? Well,
I've
obviously
never heard of a man named Beverly.
That was a long while ago. Right. Yeah. So they got married, had a son called Beverly, and they ended up in Stockton, California, where Welcome got a job as a grain broker. He was very welcome at his new job. Yeah.
We've not got a picture of Welcome.
No. His picture wasn't welcome. Yeah. After a short while, the couple became estranged, and again, nothing got mentioned about the son during this time. I'm assuming he went off with Welcome, because as
it wasn't Welcome with Mummy.
No, because as the story progressed, it don't mention that he was staying with her. So we'll just assume that. We never know. We
don't know where Beverly is. We've got no clue where Beverly is.
Right. Well, in 1895, Cordelia met John Preston Dunning, who was stunning. No, I don't know. Anyway, Cordelia was almost a decade older than John. However, it didn't seem to bother John too much, and he continued to meet up with the married women. Oh. Now, there's probably a reason why he didn't mind meeting up with married women, and the reason actually is he was married too. Yay! Let's all meet up together, and
these are some artist impressions of Cordelia. Yeah. I'm loving.
Yeah, you'll find out why that pose is get mentioned. Okay. Yeah,
well, that's relevant to the story coming up.
That is relevant to the story.
Is it?
Yeah,
I just thought she was
posing.
So they were both married and they're both having an affair with each other. So John was married to a woman named Mary Elizabeth Pennington Dunning. He also had a daughter named Elizabeth. They were living in San Francisco.
Right.
And Mary's father was a congressman named John Brown, who was married to Rebecca Rowan Pennington. And they come from Dover, Delaware.
Oh, a congressman from Delaware.
Wow. This is going to be some shady shit then.
It always comes back to the politicians.
Is that a knife handle? That might be a knife handle behind her head. No, she's not very stabby, but you'll find out what she is, or may not if you've not heard about it. But yeah. Now, Cordelia thought very highly of herself. Despite
Why? Because she's not exactly a stunner, is she?
No, I was going to say.
I mean, I know that's an artist impression, but I mean, really.
Yeah.
She must have had something else going on.
Maybe it's like a Mona Lisa smile. Yeah, perhaps she had some other sort of gifts and talent.
Yeah, she looks a bit demented.
She does. She looks very happy. But I think people didn't really smile in poses back then. But then she's smiling in that one with her.
Well, that's a picture. Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, despite her frumpy appearance and her matured age, she thought she was the bee's knees. She really did. The bee's knees. Do anyone say that?
The bee's knees?
Bee's knees.
Has bees got knees?
Yes,
I don't know. I've never looked closely. But yeah, she even bragged about posing for 100 photos, over 100 photos. Now, we know that photographs were quite special. And, you know, she was... posing in this sort of very naughty poses for the age.
Yeah, that's supposed to be naughty in Victorian times. If you pose like that, it's like, oh, look at me, I'm naughty.
She was exposing her wrists.
Yeah, she was exposing her wrists to the gentleman.
And her armpits. A sweaty bit.
Thank goodness she had sleeves on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Anyway, Cordelia met John while he was biking in Golden State Park. John was an alcoholic. This is going really great.
He's an alcoholic?
Yeah, he was an alcoholic and a gambler. So he was a bit of a rubbish husband. So because he was married as well, and he was...
Well, he's a bit of a rubbish husband despite that, because he's having
I was going to say, they're both cheating, so...
I know. A great couple, basically. So, yeah, it's not surprising that they were cheating on their other halves, but there you go.
You'd have to be an alcoholic to get involved with Cordelia.
Well, he served as Associated Press Bureau Chief in San Francisco.
So he works for the mainstream media, does he?
Well, he did, because, as you now go here, he was unfortunate. It says unfortunately, but I'm not so sure it was unfortunately. He lost his job because he was caught embezzling over $4,000 to pay his gambling debt.
That's an
1,800.
A lot of money back then.
Naughty. Is that welcome?
Yeah.
Or is that John?
That was John. That was not.
It wasn't welcome.
Naughty John.
Yeah.
Naughty John. Naughty.
Yeah. Welcome was just a grain broker.
That's a lot of money. That's like millions now.
That is a lot of money back then.
That was a lot of money then. And yeah, so I don't feel sorry for him. I don't know why. Yeah, anyway.
Excuse me, I need to address something in the comments because it's not true. Kelly says, I'm starting to get the impression that this show won't inspire much romance. We're couples tonight. Yes, it will. Yes, it will. It's very romantic. What are you talking about? We've got sexy poses. And,
sexy poses, sweaty armpits.
We've got sweaty armpits, we've got chocolate, and we've got judges with weird names. What are you on about? Right, anyway.
And even more to come. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So Cordelia and John had an affair for 3 years. That was until John's wife found out and basically dumped his ass. Yeah,
good.
Well done.
Well, she had
Mary.
Yeah, that was Mary.
Well done, Mary.
She had a very religious background, and so she wasn't interested in repairing the relationship because he was drinking and, having affairs and gambling and all that crap. And he was $4,000 in debt as well.
So she left him.
She left him.
That's quite a brave thing to do back in, because you were supposed to stay married.
Stay with your partner no matter what. Yeah.
So he must have been a complete and utter twat.
Yeah, probably. Well, anyway, she then moved up. She went, screw this, and I'm going home. And she went home to Dover in Delaware with her parents. I don't know if she moved with her parents, but I can assume that they were quite wealthy. So, yeah, probably did move there. Anyway, Cordelia was living in the Victoria Hotel, and again, there weren't no mention of the son, so I guess she was living there alone. However, John also rented a room there also.
How convenient.
Yes, so they could continue their affair without raising suspicion. Well, of course,
nobody was going to be suspicious, right? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I know that the wife had found out, but it was like, they didn't want people speaking around. But they did go about the place because they were going in pubs and things like that. Because apparently this woman was flirting with everyone and things like that. She was a bit of a tart.
You're going to say slut,
Oh, my mum would call her rumman, but nobody knows what it is.
She's a rumman.
That's one of these sort of sayings around this.
Yeah, when Jamie's mum first said to me that somebody was a rumman, I thought, why is she calling that person a Roman?
Roman. Yeah.
So basically, over here we say she's a doorknob, and everybody got it.
Doorknob. Yeah, not Pistorius doorknob though. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway. Oh dear. Anyway.
No comment.
Yeah. Well, that was during this time that they were sort of living kind of together in the same hotel room, which is all kinds of weird.
But nobody noticed.
Nobody noticed. They're going in and out of each other's doors.
They did, Cordelia.
They did, because they were getting drunk in pubs and things like that, and because they were gambling in the pubs, and she was acting all sexy around other people. I said sexy, we weren't laughing.
You almost did.
And it was around this time that John actually mentioned. Now, this is really strange and bizarre, but during this time that they were living and not living together in this hotel room, he seemed to have managed to find a convenient time to mention that his wife really loved chocolates.
Yeah, he just managed to slip into the conversation to his mistress that his wife loved chocolate.
But not only that, he also mentioned randomly that she had a friend who lived in the city called Mrs. C, or Mrs. Co-Bailey, other known as Mrs. C.
Seems to be giving her a lot of information about the wife, didn't he?
And I mean, some things come out in conversation normally.
We don't really. I wouldn't think that you like having an affair and you're having random conversations with the person about your wife.
Yeah,
about your other,
which I'll share
because she don't want to hear it normally.
Yeah, I have my suspicions, but I'll share at the end. Right. Now, John's journalism called him away to cover the Spanish-American War. He told Cordelia that when he came home, he would go home to his wife and his child in Dover, and not to her. Dun, dun, dun. See, this is where it all turns.
This is where it all goes. This all goes to
a woman scorned.
Yeah, she begged and pleaded for him to reconsider, but he was like, no, I'm going home. I've had enough of this. I need to get myself sorted. No more drinking, no more gambling. No more you and your sweaty armpits.
See this picture over here, this one on the right-hand side. I bet that's the face she pulled. Because even before the camera, she used to get drawn because she loved herself. I bet that's the face she pulled, the one on the right. Like, what? What do you mean?
So, when the day came, when he decided he had to go, she said her goodbyes to him. I don't know what that actually means. We don't know. And even though she was extremely upset, she kind of pretended to understand. I'm going to say pretended because you're never going to hear why. Because it was far from the truth. Almost immediately as he left, what she done, she started to send John's wife threatening emails. Emails?
Oh, yeah, that's a bloody good. That's a good trick.
Pretty well advanced back then.
Yeah. How did she afford a computer?
Out of place artifacts, everybody.
Out of place artifacts. There you go.
If you were wondering, here's a little picture of her emails.
I was going to say, she said, like these crappy mails, and I was going to say, like, just like how people do with emails.
That's in 1836. She sent the first of her email
but
to John's wife.
She was sending this mail to her wife to convince her not to take John back, and threatening messages and things like that. See, I keep saying messages. I keep wanting to put an E at the start. I don't know. Anyway,
it's a letter, Jamie. It's what they used to do in the old-fashioned days.
They did, yes. Back to the Future.
And the black and white days.
John's going to start fading away slowly. And
in the black and white days, they used to write letters on paper. And
in the black and white days, that's what we call them.
In the black, Yes, I'll tell you a quick side story. I know time's getting on, but quickly, I actually used to think black and white days, that there were actually such things as black and white days when I was a little
Jamie thought
kid.
when he was little that
Really?
because the films were in black and white, that colour hadn't been
Everything
invented
that I
yet.
saw, which
He thought they lived
from
in
the
black
old
and white
days was black and white. The pictures were black and white. The movies were black and white. I thought it was the black and white days
because he's a twat.
because I'm a twat.
Yeah.
And I don't mind admitting that I was only a toddler.
He was
That's
15.
I was not 15. Anyway,
Back
to the story at hand. Right, so that summer, Cordelia went to a drugstore and bought 2 ounces of powdered arsenic. I wonder what she wanted that
I've got a
for.
picture of that.
Did you say 2 pounds?
2 ounces, not 2 pounds.
Wow.
She was making sure they were going to be dead. Yeah. Oh,
wow.
They might be dead. Yeah.
Is that what she bought?
That's what she bought.
Is that her picture?
That does look a bit like
That looks like her.
Did they actually?
That does look like
did they
her.
actually? Because she's an arsenic. Spoiler alert! Because she's an arsenic killer, did they put her picture on the arsenic?
We got to research that one. We'll have to
Maybe.
research that
Well,
and get back to everybody.
They got from Paris there. That comes into it as well. So perhaps we'll
Okay.
find
I
out.
say since 1807. Probably not her, but it looks a bit like her, doesn't it?
So
Yeah,
she got
well-
2 ounces of arsenic.
You got 2 ounces of arsenic.
What is that?
Now, well, the laws were different back then.
Can I just? Why does that say restores a lovely complexion?
Well, that's what I was going to explain.
Arsenic had a different, yeah.
Yeah, people used to buy arsenic over the counter because they used to use it, first of all, for killing rats and mice and vermin, because as you can imagine, there was a lot of that going on about that.
Yeah.
back
I'm just
then.
reading it like safe, absolutely harmless.
Yeah, exactly.
Really?
Well,
But they
what I'm
use
going to say-
lots of chemicals, ingredients, and things
Yeah.
like that in different forms
Well,
back
yeah.
then.
They actually
I think you sent me
believe
2 pictures.
they
didn't you?
actually believe that women would put it on their face. Actually, believe that that would remove spots and blemishes.
Right, lovely women.
Okay.
Why
All
will
right.
you tolerate freckles, pimples, blackheads, yellow or muddy skin, moth wrinkles? What's moth wrinkles? Red nose, or any other form of skin disease or facial disfigurement?
Just shove
when you
poison
can
up your
certainly
face.
possess a beautiful form of brilliant eyes, skin, and pearly whiteness. Perfect health and life well worth living if you will only use Dr. Amit's French arsenic complexion wafers. Perfectly harmless and the only genuine safe French preparation of arsenic. $1 per box. By mail to any address.
Mhm.
Wafers?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wafers.
What?
Yeah, not. I don't.
So, yeah, it probably did give you a really good complexion because you were dead.
Indeed, you look very white.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
You look lovely and
Get
pale
rid of your
now.
spots, but you're not.
All
very
spots,
red.
all
There's
dark
nothing wrong with
spots in
your
you.
skin. There's nothing wrong with your skin because you're a skeleton.
Exactly. Right. Anyway, in July 1898, Cordelia visited the Market Street candy store in San Francisco. San Francisco. even.
Francisco.
Yeah.
It's okay. He lives across the pond, Americans. Give him a break. Cut him some slack.
Exactly. Yeah. That's our excuse. Where she brought a box of luxury chocolates, and she asked the keeper, Emma Herbert, to package them in a plain box, but also to leave enough room in the box to leave a present.
I think she actually said that she wanted to make her own chocolate and add them, didn't she?
Well, we'll find out.
Okay.
Anyway, after visiting the candy store, Cordelia went to a novelty store called the City of Paris. See Paris on that poison? Yeah. There she purchased a handkerchief. What would she want with a handkerchief? Well,
Maybe she had a snotty nose, Jamie.
maybe. Cordelia laced the chocolates with arsenic, then popped them back into the box. She made sure there was no evidence of where they come from. You know, the box weren't labeled, etc., etc.
Okay.
She then fixed the handkerchief on top, which had the City of Paris embroidered onto it to make it look like an official gift. So to make it look, all
Well,
official.
she stuffed a hanky on top of the chocolate box to make it look official.
I don't know. We're talking about the 1800s here.
So-
Wait, it was inside the box? She put it inside the box?
No, on top of the box.
Oh, maybe she put it on top of the chocolates.
Oh, yeah. I thought, like, you know how
Yeah.
they put paper, parchment, like, over?
Yeah.
How times have changed.
I thought she just
Put a
shoved
snot rag on
I
top
thought
of the
she
chocolate.
just shoved it on top of the box, but she put it on top of the chocolates.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And after that, she finally attached a letter which read, "With love to yourself and baby, Mrs. C."
Oh,
baby.
So you notice the chocolates, and Mrs. C was meant.
The husband told her that she had a friend called Mrs. C.
Mm-hmm. And she loved chocolate.
Clever.
Now, Cordelia didn't put a return address when she mailed the package, obviously.
Well, that would be a bit stupid.
That would be a bit stupid. Mm-hmm. But then, we know that some of these people do.
So she sent these to whom?
The box was addressed to Mrs. John
Mary! Oh no, she sent it to Mary.
Yeah.
I like Mary.
And it arrived at the Dover post office 5 days later. That was quick.
1800s. They've got emails. They've got.
I was just going to say we got fast emails. I was thinking the same thing.
You can't even post anything in this day and age in 5 minutes.
The Pennington family sent Mary's young nephew Harry to get the mail. I bet he felt really guilty after this. Which you don't know yet.
Oh,
but
it depends.
You will do.
It depends. Did he have a chocolate?
Well, we'll find out, shall we? Henry handed the package to Mary. She had no reason to believe anyone would send her poison candy. Oh, of course not.
Oh, you didn't think that, did you?
No. Oh, yeah. Who hates me enough? Yeah.
Right.
One evening, Mary had guests visiting. Her sister Ida Dean and her 2 small children. At some point. Yeah.
No.
And
Don't
you know what's
say
going to happen? Yeah.
There was
other. I believe there was other guests because I remember reading something about a father or something as well. But yeah, I'm not going to name everyone who was there. But the small kids.
She didn't share, did she?
She did share. At some point, Mary remembered about the little luxury chocolates that she got sent from her friend Mrs. C, and thought it would be nice to share them with her guests.
Oh, don't do it, Mary! Don't do it.
I know. Almost immediately, everyone who ate the candy became violently ill, with stomach pain and intense vomiting.
Oh,
Mary. Yeah. Well, it's kind of. I don't think the children had as much as the others because it was Mary and Ida who got the most sick.
Oh.
So, the next morning, Mary Elizabeth Dunning died. Her sister Ida followed her death on August the 11th, so shortly after her sister died as well.
What about the kids?
That doesn't actually mention.
So they're the only 2 that died.
Good. Maybe they didn't.
Well, not hopefully. Hopefully nobody died, but yeah, unfortunately and hopefully the children. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Were spared.
Anyway. Yeah, Mary's father immediately launched an investigation. Good on
that
him.
The congressman?
Yes. When he noticed the handwriting on the package of the candy matched that of the anonymous letters his daughters received, so he knew about the emails.
Oh, he knew about the emails.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. The first person the law enforcement wanted to speak to was Mary's husband, John. So here we go.
Mm-hmm.
So now you can see, where things have been mentioned. I have my suspicions over old John. I don't think he's as innocent as he claimed to be.
Yeah, John.
Anyway, John made his way to Dover as soon as he heard his wife was dead. He was like, "Yes, she's dead. I can get back to having an affair, probably." Mm-hmm. But maybe he was like, "Oh, my poor wife is dead." Yeah, I reckon. Anyway, when presented with the package and the letters, he also knew his mistress Cordelia Botkin was responsible. Oh,
how did he know?
Yeah, well, he wanted to blame her. He wanted to get rid of his wife and blame it on her, didn't he? If he's not going to go down for it, it's just there, I reckon.
Wow.
Anyway. Yeah. A chemist, Dr. Wood, examined the chocolates and confirmed the candy contained arsenic. There you go.
All right.
He suddenly recalled telling Cordelia about his wife's, attraction for chocolate and her friend, Mrs. C.
Well, you just suddenly run.
Yeah.
Like, I know Cordelia. That was Cordelia, everybody.
Yeah, it's funny you should mention that chocolate.
Pointed in that direction, shed the light right on where you need it to be.
Sounds very Pistorius-like, doesn't it? Let's make up little convenient excuses for everyone.
Wait a minute, she ate chocolates with arsenic. Yeah. I told Cordelia she liked chocolate.
Yeah, what a coincidence.
Detective B.J. McVeigh.
Yeah. B.J. McVeigh. No comment.
No comment. Yeah.
No comment.
Anyway, brought the evidence to San Francisco, and John contributed love letters Cordelia gave him. So he's really properly stitched.
Oh, he's showing his email.
He's setting this up.
He's getting his email out. Yeah.
Yeah.
An expert in handwriting analysis confirmed that Cordelia wrote the note with a box of poisoned candy, as well as the anonymous letters or the emails. The chief of police led the Isaiah Lees. That too. Led the investigation. The first.
I don't know why I'm correcting you on a name. Did you see this take me?
Yeah. Well, you expect it from me, though, not from you. But
I fully expect it from myself.
Yeah.
All the time.
The first order of business was to get Cordelia in custody before she fled. It wasn't difficult. She was in Stockton with her estranged husband and son, so she went back to her husband. So she was like, "You're not taking your husband home, but I'm going back to mine."
So she went back to Welcome and Beverly.
Yeah, I wonder if she was welcome home.
You guys are rocking it tonight.
In the days that followed, the clerks from the candy store, drugstore, and novelty shop all recognised Cordelia. How could you not recognise that face?
She's a bit
star.
Memorable. She's memorable.
She's even on the arsenic
She's
poison
walking
bottle.
around the candy store going like that.
With your arms up.
I wonder if she went,
Can I have some chocolates?
I would like some chocolates, please, and some arsenic.
Can you leave a space in there so I can put arsenic in?
She probably had a quite famous face. She had sketches everywhere, you know.
Oh, I think that was quite a famous face. Yeah. Right. The postal clerk who assisted Cordelia when she mailed the package also recognised her because he remembered the name on the box was addressed to Mrs. John Dunning, and he was called John Dunnigan. So it was so familiar. Oh, how strange, isn't it? That is strange.
All right.
So he remembered that was so much like his own that he remembered the name as well. So she's screwed.
You're screwed, Cordelia.
But but maybe she won't be. But we'll see. Right. Cordelia's crimes were unprecedented because they occurred through the mail over two jurisdictions. Yeah, so that was again nothing what had happened before or known about that's happening before. So it was quite intricate, even though it was a fairly simple plan. But she did cover her ass quite well, or at least try.
Well, she didn't really, did she?
Yeah. After some considerable back and forth between attorneys in Delaware and California, the Supreme Court ruled that Judge Carol Cook would hear the case in San Francisco. So they decided where it was going to.
Because you done it across state lines,
Yeah, because they couldn't decide where.
All right. And what was her sentence?
After her sentencing, Cordelia was remanded in the Branch County Jail rather than San Quentin State Penitentiary. Sadly, Judge Cook's wife passed away. He offered to visit her grave. I don't know what relevance that had, but I wrote it down.
I don't know what relevance that's got to anything, but I've read it down.
I know. No, I remember why. He would pay respects to her, so he would visit the grave to his wife. And one day when he was visiting the grave, he actually saw Cordelia walking down the street.
Oh.
Cordelia was supposed to be in prison.
Oh, she was getting day release.
But she was out. Yes, apparently they suggested that she was giving sexual favors to the guards.
So they were letting her out.
And they were letting her walk on the street because she was showing her old armpits off and got out.
The judge was visiting and she's like wandering down the street like...
Yeah.
Look at me.
And...
she's not a stunner though, so she's having an affair. She's giving sexual favors to the guards.
I said maybe if she had other talents. I said that in the beginning.
She obviously did have. She did have some talents there.
She must have done. So yeah,
right. So she was in prison, and after the Great San Francisco earthquake of 1906, the jail became too crowded, and Cordelia could no longer enjoy the small comforts of the little jail offered. She was transferred to San Quentin after all. So she went to the jail that she didn't like.
Jail.
Yeah, she went to the big girls' jail.
So, yeah, she's not getting out anymore.
She had to put a big pants and blouse on.
Blouse. That's such a stupid word, blouse. Yeah.
Yeah. So she lived the remainder of her life in jail, basically.
Yeah, there was only two things that I could find from her after then.
Yeah.
Which was... this one.
Oh, she.
Well,
Yeah.
her son died before her, apparently. Beverly died, and she asked to leave the cell to go to his
Go to
funeral.
his funeral.
And then when she was laid to rest, and the family plot.
Yeah.
That's the only two things that there was nothing after she went to San Quentin. It went quiet. There was no more written about her.
Cordelia actually died in 1904 with the same heart condition and things like that. I think a lot of people died with heart. Probably shoving all that arsenic over your face. Probably done it.
Yeah.
Fiddle about with the chocolates and stuff, maybe.
And along with all the other ingredients and things they used then that thought that
Probably a combination of shoving arsenic on your face and slutting around the place and sleeping with everybody.
Yeah. She was apparently sorry for all the people she murdered, and she started to get depressed. And she went to the crap prison.
What a shame!
And unfortunately, her little son Beverly died as well at some point.
He probably wasn't little anymore, was he?
No, she was 56 years old when she died.
Yeah.
So basically, she poisoned people. That's unique.
Stop the show. There's a sheep having contractions. There's baby sheep getting born any minute. Kelly's got to go. Kelly, we need pictures as soon as they're born. Send pictures.
Yes, we have to see this little sheep.
I need to see the twins, and that means the sheep. I'm not being a pervert.
So if you do get chocolates, well, I will say, if you do get chocolates for Valentine's Day, maybe make sure they're all sealed and they're all properly. Before
If there's a hanky in the box, they're not legit. They're not legit.
Not legit.
Yeah, that was Jamie's story, and we're going to
Well,
go
I'm
into.
kind of glad that you guys started out because mine is not like that entertaining. I have to admit.
Oh, it will be. It will be.
You're going to make it that way.
I don't even know what it is yet. I've not really heard yours. I've heard this because you read it to me.
I will say that we've had stories tonight with people with unusual names.
Yeah, definitely.
Have you got an unusual name? Not you personally.
You bet.
I mean, like your story. No, there's nothing wrong with Danielle Elvis. It's fine.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
You're very welcome. And Danielle's story is called, and this is all I know about it, it's called A Web of Lies. And that's all I know. So this is going to be a learning curve for me.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah, well, there's a little play on the word web. Because as we know, there's always a web of lies, a web of
emails involved.
Yeah.
Actually, yes, there are emails involved. But
did the spider do it? Did the spider?
No, I'm not going to give it all away yet.
No.
Yeah.
A little
bits. You tell yours.
Little bits at a time. So, this story takes place on Valentine's Day, 2009.
Me and Danielle stuck to Valentine's Day. Jamie went looking for chocolate.
But that's okay. It fit. I'm good with it. So yes, Valentine's Day 2009. So not quite as in the distant past. This centers around a young woman named Tiana Notice. Tiana Notice was 25 years old in 2009. She was described as a brilliant woman. Her parents considered her to be blessed in intelligence, and apparently she excelled in everything that she did, especially academically. So by the age of 6, little Tiana was considered a child prodigy. And she was moved ahead in grades over the course of her education. So she was like constantly being moved up a grade or two as she went along.
Wouldn't she?
Yeah. By the time she was finishing high school, she was also completing her first year of college. So she was doing dual roles there. She ended up graduating from the University of Hartford. This took place in Connecticut. And she had a bachelor's degree in political science. And shortly after this time, she had been broke up with a long-time boyfriend, and she was interested in dating again. So she was a regular on MySpace, for those of you that remember MySpace. MySpace, yeah.
Oh my, there's a blast for the past.
Yeah, we are, yeah.
And she also went on to a dating site where a profile of a gentleman named James Carter II caught her eye. And he had a nice, clean, clear profile, of course. He claimed to be an executive at an insurance company. Mm-hmm. And he really played it off as being well-to-do. And needless to say, he played it up so well that they hit it off. And that lasted for a while anyway, because 6 months into their relationship, James Carter was sentenced to 5 months in jail for the domestic abuse of a previous girlfriend.
Oh.
So he had been charged.
Red flag.
Red
Is it
flags.
Tiana.
Tiana.
Red flag, Tiana. Red flag.
Yeah.
Run.
But here's the kicker. I mean, she ended up finding out that while he was in jail and through all this, that he had a long rap sheet for some other crimes. And of course, assault being one of them, which is why he was serving this time in jail. But against the better judgment of her friends and family and herself, she stayed with him upon release.
Oh,
so
Tiana.
We've got this really beautiful, intelligent woman who, for whatever reason, says, I like this guy enough to stay with him through this prisons or jail sentence. And this is where things kind of went downhill.
So did he lose his job? Did he lose his job and everything as an executive?
Well, he was never an executive.
Oh, is that where the lies? Oh, the lies.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
The web of lies comes in. So shortly after this, she finally decided she'd had enough. And it's not known for sure, but it's speculated. Her dad, his name is Alvin, he thinks that she found out that he was cheating on her.
I was going to say that, but I didn't want to interrupt.
What?
Again.
Chipmunk?
Was he a chipmunk?
But it was suspected that he was cheating on her, which who wouldn't think that? And she gave him the boot. She wanted to break up. Well, but it did not sit well with James.
How long had they been together at this stage?
So maybe 8-9 months, maybe.
And he spent most of that time in jail.
I think so, because it was shortly after that they met that he ended up doing this. Like, I want to say like 3 months, maybe. I don't know.
That might have been a good way of spending the relationship if it was a bit of an ass.
So they've not spent much time together at this stage.
Well, now that the truth was out and she knew the true story about him, maybe this was why things escalated. I'm not sure. Well, that and the fact she wanted to break up. That didn't sit well.
And he's a liar. Liar!
He's a liar. So he began harassing and terrorizing her, but, in different ways. He was stalking her and he'd show up wherever she was, even at the grocery store. So he was like all up in her business. So she obviously was scared and desperate, and she decided that she was going to file a restraining order. And her dad asked her, why, what's going on. Didn't really care for the gentleman, obviously, because of his past, but wanted to know what was going on. But all she said at the time was he was bugging her. So I guess that's all she wanted to divulge.
They're rubbish, though, isn't them restraining orders? They never work, did they?
No, people didn't go.
Oh, no. And it's unfortunate. So James then decided, all right, well, she's going to do this to me. I'm going to do this to her. He turned around and decided to take a restraining order out on her. And he cited that, but he cited that she was assaulting him, hitting him, and that she had smashed his headlights and taillights, things like that.
Just making up stories.
So can anybody just get a restraining order with no evidence then?
Yeah, well, supposedly not. You're supposed to have evidence in this, this fear for your well-being.
And he smashed up his own car and just said it was her.
Yeah. So throughout the course of this time, he began sending her, which most people would consider threatening emails.
Emails, Jamie.
Not letters. Yeah.
Emails, Jamie.
Emails. The first of which, and I don't know if you had an image of it or not, that I might have sent you, but it was, trust me, baby girl, you're going to lose everything. And as God is my witness, punishment is on the way, so be prepared.
He's a big tough wanker, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if he talked to a guy like that.
He concluded with the email, he said, remember this email when karma bites you in the ass. So the contact was obviously in violation of any restraining order. He's not supposed to be contacting her, being near her, emailing her, whatever. So Tiana decided to report it to the Plainville Police Department. An officer told her that the emails were non-threatening.
Is that these?
Obviously, she was scared. Yep. Obviously, she was scared. She filed this restraining order.
And he tells her non-threatening.
They're non-threatening.
Like these. You're going to lose everything. Punishment is on the way. Okay, Mr. Plainville twat.
Yeah, they did her wrong for sure. But he kept sending her texts and emails because why not? Because nothing was being done.
Get away with it,
And he was trying to phone her, and she kept reporting him to the police. Now, get this. There was record of her going to the police department 33 times in 6 weeks.
Wow.
33 times.
Like every 2 days, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, 1 or 2 days.
So she had a temporary job at the university that she attended, the University of Hartford.
I should imagine it was temporary because she was too busy going off to the police station making a report.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, as Exby says, and with his history as well, he's been in prison for domestic violence, and wow,
why this was like
these
no big deal.
restraining orders are not worth the paper they're printed on, and it doesn't surprise me that some people don't even bother because they don't do anything.
No.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, just a numerous amount of times. But he began harassing her at work. So he was calling repeatedly. I don't know if he was trying to get her fired or just contacting her personally, but she had enough. And she went to the Plainville police because that's who she'd been dealing with. But they told her now she had to report this to the Waterbury Police Department. And the Waterbury Police Department.
Is that like where the university is?
That's where the university was located. So that's why
Right.
Waterbury played into it. So you got not one police department, but 2 police departments.
Being crap.
Yeah,
Crap.
basically. Yeah. Tiana's mother, Kathy, she remembered her daughter calling after this, and she was crying hysterically. She told her mom that the police department wasn't of any help at all. And an officer even accused her of having a fake restraining order against him.
Oh my god!
Really?
I mean, that seems easy enough to look
not
up.
just look at his rap sheet and see what
They don't know, do they? They don't look at nothing. They just assume. And it's all different people. They don't check with anyone.
No, it's so wrong. So her mother decided to call the sergeant and talk to him herself. He says, "Oh, nothing's going to happen to your daughter." To which Kathy, her mom, To which Kathy, her mom, replied, "If anything happens to Tiana, you better move to another planet."
Right.
So any mom, obviously. So that's kind of good. She got away with threatening a police officer, but
yeah,
it's a non-threatening phrase, right?
It's not right because nothing was going to happen to her, so it's not a non.
But you raise a good point there, Danielle, because there was probably a risk that she was probably going to get in trouble for saying something like that.
What she said is far less threatening than what you said.
Right.
Exactly.
And
They would take action normally. Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
So after all this, things really picked up after this and got scary for Tiana. So on February 7th, while parked outside of her apartment, Tiana's car had been vandalized and the tires were slashed. But of course, there was no way to prove that it was James Carter.
Oh,
so
he can do it and claim it was there.
He can get a restraining order by just doing things to his own car. But
when it happened to her, it's just like,
there's no evidence it was him. What are you on about, love?
No evidence. But her dad was thinking, and he decided that he was going to install a security camera for her, which he did out in the parking lot. I think they kind of had a view of the parking lot and then where her front door area might have been. He also decided to stay there that night for a few hours. I think he said like maybe 4 or 5 hours they were together. And they went over scenarios, like if someone were to come up to her or surprise attack or things like that, what they could do, kind of like, like role playing.
Yeah.
So after he went home and everything, on February 13th, she found a letter attached to the front of her apartment door. And it said, "Tiana, forgive me. I never cheated on you. If I'm lying, may God take my life. Forgive me for everything else that I've done."
Really?
Well, here's the kicker. Unfortunately, the security camera ran out of tape.
Oh!
Every time. Like Princess Diana, all the cameras.
What year is this?
2009.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it was DVR, like if it was, they said tape.
So,
tape. Yeah, perhaps it got chewed up and they tried to stick it back together again like you used to. Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously they replaced the tape or whatever at that time, but so there was no way to prove it once again. Although Tiana did report it anyway, and finally the Plainville police decided, all right, we'll take action on this, and they called Mr. Carter. They called him in, and he had to provide a handwriting sample because he hand wrote this letter.
Right.
like in the black and white days, Jamie.
Yeah.
Now, her parents had advised her very wisely, don't go home, Tiana, until we know he's been arrested, because, you know, he's a stalker, right? And this is really going to piss him off, which it did.
He's a stalker with a history of domestic violence, and he's been in prison.
Yeah.
But again, this intelligent, bright young lady, against better judgment, went back to her apartment on Valentine's Day in the evening, and she wanted to go grab some extra clothes or other items that she was going to need. Well, of course, James was there waiting. He was parked there, walking, waiting for her to return. He approached her and forced her into the apartment, where he began stabbing her. He stabbed her about like 20 times, and numerous strikes were into the heart itself.
Yeah.
He fled right away, obviously leaving her to death. But
was it filming the camera?
Well, I'll get there. But like me now, jumping on the story.
I know. I'm invested in this story.
He pulled away in his PT Cruiser. Remember, those big PT Cruisers were a big thing back then.
I don't know what that means. What does that
it's
mean?
A car. It's like a little sport. You'd have to look it up. I guess maybe I should have put a picture. Right. Anyway, a neighbor saw him as he went away with his PT Cruiser. But Tiana was able, she was still awake and coherent enough to call 911 at 9:41 p.m. At 9:41 p.m., she made the call to the 911 operator, and she was screaming, obviously, that she was bleeding to death. And she even named James Carter, her boyfriend, James Carter, her ex-boyfriend, did this to her. And
she saying was stabbed multiple times and in the heart, and oh my God.
Yes. So police and ambulance obviously showed up, took her away. She was still alive, but unfortunately, she'd lost way too much blood, and while on the surgical table, she did pass away. She did die.
She named him.
She did name him, and police did catch up with him, Mr. James Carter II, caught him and apprehended him within an hour. And at that time, obviously, because they didn't have all this evidence yet, he was charged with suspicion of murder. But he ultimately, there was so much evidence compiled against him that...
Oh my God, I thought you were going to say he escaped. But,
No. There was a lot of compiled evidence against him, including, yes, video evidence that shows James at the apartment door.
Good.
On the night of this, which has happened, and everything else. So yes, the security cameras that good old dad put up helped in this manner. Now the trial didn't begin... the trial didn't begin until October of 2011, so a couple of years later, which how all these things go, right?
Yeah, they'll get
on top of the video evidence and then the handwriting that matched the letter, he also confessed to his brother and his brother's girlfriend the night that it happened that he had stabbed her.
Did his brother grass on him?
Well, he was caught and apprehended right away.
So
I know, but did his brother testify against him?
Well, he did. He did testify. He testified that James admitted to stabbing Tiana the night that it happened.
Good.
Now Carter, because he really was not well-to-do as he, pretended to be, he had a court-appointed judge or court-appointed attorney. And during representation, James Carter, he refused to be present during the sentencings. He wanted to be in another room. He didn't want to be in there. A coward, whatever. He just refused to be there. Didn't, say a word or anything.
Like to do that.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That
apparently he was. And this judge, Frank Adabo, he didn't take kindly to that. He didn't like the fact that he was dissed in his own court.
Like, you get your ass in here, bro.
Yeah. So he went for the maximum years in prison, which in Connecticut in 2011 is 60 years.
Good.
Yeah.
He also got a concurrent sentence of 5 years for violating the restraining orders. So Carter, like I said, remained silent during the sentencing, but his public defender, Christopher Eddy, he said that the sentence was unnecessarily harsh when he was interviewed outside the courtroom.
20 times stabbing.
Unnecessary. Is he one of the ones that want you to get 6 years for murder?
This is ridiculous. Yeah.
Probably.
So after the trial,
that's what I was saying on a previous episode, though, about like a crime, like when you know somebody, that's when it's overkill because it's personal. That's what he's done. It's overkill.
So after the trial, the judge was able to then discuss Carter's criminal past because you can't talk about that during it's irrelevant.
Yeah.
You got to stay with this. This
You're not like to take the jury pool.
Yeah.
So he ended up being convicted of violating probation. These were some of the claims that, or not the claims, but the judge passed on that he had been convicted of violating probation in 2008, and he had 6 pending charges of harassment and violation of restraining orders when Tiana had died.
Yeah.
So the judge was able to release that information. But
So
even after his arrest, James felt no remorse. He was boasting even while he was in jail, and he had written letters to the relatives and friends, some of them, calling Tiana a bitch and saying that he didn't regret what he'd done. He also noted that in letters to Tiana's family, or he also noted in the letters about Tiana that her family must be taught a lesson. So really, yeah.
Sounds like a crazy son of a bitch.
Obviously, yeah. I wonder if he had generalized anxiety disorder.
Oh, any excuse.
I'm sure it was more than that.
But yeah, I'm glad he got a decent sentence, and it's not too harsh at all.
No, not at all. Tiana's favorite color happened to be purple. Lisa, I think your favorite color is purple. But anyway, during sentencing, over 40 family members and friends were there wearing, a lot of them wearing purple in honor of her. Now, no one from Carter's family was present, which says a lot. Now, since Tiana's death and trial, her parents, Alvin and Kathy, they created a foundation in her name. And it's called the Tiana Notice Foundation to raise awareness and help for domestic violence.
If you want to go and see that, it is tiananoticefoundation.org.
Yes. And because of this foundation and some help from new legislation that's been done in the state of Connecticut, new laws have helped improve things. They've gotten some things done to help domestic victims, who are more times than not women, of course. And this includes, and I had not heard of this, but a GPS program that was put into place for these perpetrators, the offenders. So a victim would be alerted, or they can now be alerted when the offender is within a certain distance of them, or their workplace, their workplace, or even family members' homes.
And is that through this foundation that they done?
It happened through this foundation that the legislators put this into this bill, and it got passed, that they were able to do.
There is quite a few of these things that come up from a tragic death. The family will create like charities and foundations, and they get new laws passed. But it should not take something like this to get these laws passed. It should not take the death of these people by these crazy wankers to get things put into place that should have been there in the bloody first place.
And it happens all too often, way too often.
All the time, far too often.
So to bring more attention to this, Tiana's estate ended up suing the police department, who handled or mishandled entirely her complaints for wrongful death. The Plainville, for wrongful death. Good. And they were ultimately found guilty, charged with a $10 million judgment.
Wow.
So
maybe that will teach them to get their bloody fingers out and do their job.
Look in their paperwork. Yeah.
Actually, just you're getting told that this person is threatening me. Look at their criminal history and see what they've done previously.
So to finish up, it's interesting because Tiana had a poem that she had kept. I'm not sure if she wrote it or had kept it. I think she might have written it, because her dad, he ended up reading it. I think it was at the sentencing, and said it was somewhat prophetic. It was called Chapter Closed. And the poem was, sometimes you want to give a man the benefit of the doubt to prove he is who he is. I was disappointed, for all the words were lies and the actions spoke louder. Let his emptiness comfort him at night, like them cement walls he became accustomed to. I smile for my curtain call, for I regained my strength when I walked out the door, regained independence by saying no more. An empty house in solitude is how he will spend his days, and I rest assured in knowing I'm beautiful, smart, and on my way. And that's where it ended up ending for her, unfortunately. So
that's all right. Yeah.
Wow, if only he hadn't ended up spending these days in that cell and she hadn't survived. And
Yeah. In a bizarre way, the chain of consequences go as well. That's what I find really bizarre. It's the same as my story, even centuries ago, with like people remembering this person, the similar name. That's just wow.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah. I am kind of glad that you went last week, because it would have been weird having a laugh after that, because that was so.
yeah.
That did work out better. Yeah, but yeah, it's just so unfortunate. And again,
it's frustrating that these things continually happen.
Yeah.
And you had more than one police department here who just totally mishandled everything.
Oh, we don't believe you've got a restraint. Go bloody check. You know, it's not hard. And twice. And I don't know.
It really doesn't surprise me why a lot of women don't even bother getting their restraining orders, because
or why they have to take matters under their own hands.
They obviously need to look at the restraining order and change it, because it's not working.
They always seem to wait until it's too late. Unfortunately, I know they've got certain powers and procedures they've got to go through.
This whole thing, like, oh well, and we can't do anything unless they do something. Once they've done something, it's too bloody late. It's too bloody late.
Yeah. And
you've got
not too many things
lost their life now because they wouldn't do anything.
Yeah.
Not too many things happen good out of Connecticut, really. And no offense if anybody's watching from Connecticut, I'm sure I'm not talking about you, but legal wise. However, I think this GPS system thing is a real step in the right direction.
It's good, yeah. But I mean, if it depends how they're implementing it. Are they doing it through the phone? Because all you got to do is leave your phone at them. They need to tag them.
Yes. So obviously, Valentine's Day is not just about positive romantic love.
It just when you're looking for love, make sure that you
find it in the right places.
Find it in the right place. And if there is red flags, there was red flags there, obviously. If there is red flags, bloody just run away as soon as possible.
Well,
don't think, oh well, they done that one nice thing, despite the 10 crappy things and all the lies that they told me. And it's not worth it. It's not worth your life.
Unfortunately, some people do believe them, even though they confront them with the evidence and things like that. And, you know, they've seen how these people act and they've acted towards them. They still believe they're BS half the time. It's like, you've experienced it yourself. You've seen it yourself.
He comes across as a complete narcissist.
He
uses an excuse.
He was trying to turn it around and
blame anyone else apart from himself.
Yeah, he was trying to twist it, twist the things he was doing and accuse her of the things that he's doing.
Well,
I mean, trying to get restraining orders. And,
typical narcissist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that is our 3 cases that we chose. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody.
Yeah.
We will be back next week with some more mystery, history, and crime. And I believe something a bit out of this world the next time. But that's all you're getting told. You will find it. Yeah, you will find out next Tuesday, because we will see you next Tuesday. I'm Lisa.
I'm Jamie.
That's Danielle and Jamie.
And this is me. And thank you very much for watching. Don't remember to like and
subscribe,
and all this
share, like, go to the website.
Hit the little bell,
The Curious
Face
Files.
The Curious. Will can't speak to
us. The Curious Face Files.
Curious Files.
Don't go to the Curious Face Files, because that may be a bit weird. I don't know what's on that website.
Cordelia, like that.
Cordelia.
Sweaty armpits. Chocolate.
No, please visit the website and check out the store. Lisa and Jamie have some really nice items in there. A couple of our subscribers, our friends here, have already purchased some things and been very happy with what they've received.
We have got something very special lined up as in the planning for our patrons. And thank you very much for becoming patrons. And there's something very special coming very soon for you. But I think I've already said I'll see you next Tuesday. Yes. And you're going to be prepared and have the thing ready in time this week. Am I?
Yeah. I think so.
Maybe.
I think so.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for watching, and we will see you next time, everybody.
See you
Love
later.
you. Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Curious